Hey everyone, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, you guys.
Welcome to another Monday in September. It's another Monday in September. We're officially in fall. It's great to be here.
Absolutely.
If this is your first time with us on the Monday Rundowns, welcome, because that means that you normally watch us on our Wednesday shows where we're more business related, oriented, I should say. And on Mondays, we get to talk about all the things that we don't normally get to talk about on our Wednesday shows. This includes mindset things, more topics around relationships, and all the like
All the
sexy
little nuance things in life.
things. Yeah. And so we're really happy that you were all here with us. And before we introduce you to the topic, I just wanted to say, so you finally made the decision to write the book that you've been thinking about in your head. But how do you get that jumbled mess out of your head and onto paper so that way you can finally publish the book? And then how do you market it? How do you actually make money from it? Well, I'm inviting you to my next free masterclass on Monday, September 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, where I'm going over how to earn a lucrative income by becoming a best-selling author from scratch. See you there. Yes, that's happening Monday, September 16th. Can't wait to see you there. Anyone who registers, which is in the description box below, just let me know that you registered from Say That channel, and I will send you a signed copy of my book.
Say
Now,
that.
back to our regular schedule.
All right. So the topic for today.
How can we increase our influence? This is a great question. I really like this because I mean, not to talk about business, but on the business side of things, we're often talking about how to gain influence over people because you want to at least have enough influence to be able to share with them your product or service, right? So just to get in the door to like be able to have the conversation. Now, people don't like being sold, so nobody likes being like convinced that they need the thing. So I don't think it's necessarily convincing, but it's more just influencing, just to like have the conversation. Some people will just say straight up yes, and then influence you to go ahead and buy. And I don't think
Mm,
that there's anything wrong with that, especially if you feel like what you have is really going to help a person, and so you're really just helping them help themselves.
mm,
um, but I would say that this also comes into play with like relationships, business or romantic. Sometimes you feel like you're not really being heard in a way that you would want to. And so this kind of, I feel like this might be a question someone asks to kind of like level up their voice, so they just feel like they're being heard in the relationship they're in. So how can we do it? I think it starts off by you listening to the other person. um, you can't influence somebody if you're already thinking about how they're wrong and judging them and all that stuff. It comes from a place of empathy, really. Like if you're really listening to someone and they feel like they're heard and understood, then they're more receptive to hear what you have to say, whether it's your opinions, whether it's your thoughts, or even if it's a way in which you can help them. They're more receptive to that once that has been established. And so that would be my recommendation for how to increase your influence. Listen to people, listen, not listen so that way you can get your point across. Empathize.
okay. It's interesting. The For me, the when I heard of the question, I thought about one of the reasons I know I wrote my book is the, I guess, pitch to that I saw talked about getting more influence. At the time, I know we were more heavily building network marketing, and the idea from what I understood would be if you could present yourself or represent yourself to, I guess, the world, essentially as someone with influence, so someone who had some sense of authority or knowledge in some area. It's kind of how it was, I guess, again, pitched to me. So for me, I think of this more as like an internal thing. Like ultimately, for me, writing the book was something that I did that I didn't even know I'm not even gonna say I wanted to do, but I didn't think I could put out a book. I didn't think that was something I could do. So in my mind, how do you gain more influence is thank you. How you gain more influence is just within your own self belief. I think of it as like if I saw someone and I thought they were influential, there's probably a certain look about them. So there's And that, it doesn't necessarily have to mean like designer or anything. It is just the stature of the way they carry themselves. There's like an air about them, and it doesn't mean you have to know everything, but you're okay with something. You're okay with not knowing everything. So it's a person who I think would be comfortable saying things like that. Yeah, I think just self awareness and self knowledge is from I guess where I look at things now is what I think of when I think of someone who's influential or someone who's even like comfortable with themselves. And I think when I think of that, I do think they may make a mistake and they like laugh it off. I saw a woman fall in the street and she like just bounced right back up and like just kept it moving. And I remember like I just feel like there's a time in life where something like that I would have been in my head whatever for like an hour, like oh my god, I can't believe I fell and all these people saw like all these little things. And now I wouldn't control that. Like I'd drop and I'd same thing, I'd bounce back up like whatever.
I love that. And since I am doing a masterclass about how to write a book, I will just say that that is true. You can earn influence by writing a book.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one.
End of story. You will have more influence if you are an author. Well, okay. It is not just us though. We have who do we have? I think this week
I think this one's
it's Mind and Body Health. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So we're going to listen to our friends at Mind and Body Health 101 to hear what they have to say on how we can increase our influence.
5 psychological tricks that work on anyone. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you really needed someone to agree with you or go along with your idea? Maybe it was trying to convince your partner to go to that new restaurant you've been wanting to try, or getting your coworker on board with your proposal for a new project. Whatever the scenario, we've all been there, wishing we had some psychological superpowers to nudge people in our favor. Well, good news. Today, I'm sharing 5 psychological tricks that can work on just about anyone. Before we get into the tricks, though, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt a sense of connection with someone just because they happen to be doing something similar to you? Like nodding their head or using the same hand gestures? It's a phenomenon known as mirroring, and it's actually one of the tricks we'll cover. Before we jump in, please hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Thanks. All right, let's start with trick number 1, the Benjamin Franklin effect. This trick is based on a story about Benjamin Franklin himself. He wanted to win over a rival, so he asked the man to lend him a rare book from his library. The rival happily agreed, and after that small favor, they became great friends. This principle works because when somebody does a favor for us, no matter how small, we subconsciously feel a need to think more positively of them to justify the helpful behavior. It creates a sense of obligation and consistency in how we view that person. Next up is trick number 2, mirroring behaviors, which we briefly touched on earlier. By subtly mimicking someone's body language, tone, and mannerisms, you build unconscious rapport and likability. Scientists believe mirroring taps into our innate human tendency to prefer people who show similarities to ourselves. It's a technique we all naturally use when hitting it off with a new friend or romantic partner, so why not employ it strategically? Trick number 3 is using the magic word because. Psychologist Ellen Langer found that simply giving a reason, even an uninformative one, makes people much more likely to follow an instruction or request. For example, in her study, people were far more willing to cut in line for a copy machine when the request included the word because. The phrase because I need to make copies worked way better than just saying, may I use the copy machine? Adding because seems to trigger people's automatic tendency to obey legitimate authorities. Now, trick number 4 is all about framing and anchoring. If you want someone to agree to something, first present an even more extreme version so that your real ask seems much more reasonable by comparison. For instance, a realtor might first show you an overpriced house you'd never consider, so that the next listing seems like a great deal and shifts your perspective on pricing. This exploits people's tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information offered when making decisions. Finally, trick number 5 revolves around reciprocity and obligation. The trick is to offer a favor, gift, or service before making a request, not after. Research shows we feel a much stronger psychological pull to return the favor than if someone did something nice for us after we complied with their ask. That indebtedness creates an unconscious pressure to repay the kindness, so doing the first nice deed is key. Now, you may be thinking, whoa, these sound a bit manipulative, and you're not wrong. Any psychological principle can be unethical if misused, but these are also all techniques we organically employ in our everyday interactions, often without realizing it. The key is being mindful and only using them with positive intentions that do not harm others. So there you have it, 5 psychological party tricks you have up your sleeve. Use them wisely to increase your influence at work, strengthen your relationships, or just get your way every once in a while. Let me know if you try any of these out.
These were really good.
Of course,
Mirroring,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I really like the mirroring. We've been taught that multiple times, so it was like, oh, a good reminder. Doing something nice for somebody. I'm a part of a lot of networking groups, and we always talk about how don't go in expecting people to just hand you referrals. The first thing that you should do is actually send them referrals, make connections first for them, and then they'll be more likely to reciprocate and do something nice. So I thought rounding that up was like really helpful for me. And then there was one other one that I thought was really funny, and now I can't remember it. So go ahead.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
Well, which one was it? Well, the reciprocity one, the mirroring, the it actually made me think. Go, the first one.
What was the first one? See, I can't remember either.
Somebody throw that in the comments when you see it'll come back to us. What I was going to say quickly was the idea that many of these it's funny he kept calling it tricks, but the way we interact with each other, that we behave in this sense, some way like this. The mirroring thing is something where if you do like someone, you may find yourself doing it and not realize that you are in fact mirroring. I see it with my son a lot. People like you'll see him start enabling someone's behavior from like one of the runners that he likes, things like that. So it's maybe a little bit easier to see it that way. But no, these were really great. I like the fact that he's right. If you are conscious about what you're doing, when you're doing it, it can be helpful to steer someone in the right direction, or you know what I mean. One of the things I love, they didn't talk about it, was I know eye contact was one of the a big thing that talked about influential people. Like they were the type of people that looked at you or looked you directly in the eye, things like that. But these were really great.
Was it the Benjamin Franklin thing that was the first one, or was it the because? I do like the
because I think came after. Benjamin Franklin was earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, I like the because as well. I never thought about that, but that's so true. Because sounds like a reason or an explanation, and people are way more likely to do things if they feel like there's a good reason for something, like there's a good explanation for. So I thought that was really interesting. And then the Benjamin Franklin, asking someone to do you a favor. Yeah.
That one seemed the whole rival thing, that seems a little odd. Because in my mind, I'm thinking I don't have any rivals, but in my mind, I'm thinking whatever the level of animosity I'd have towards someone to consider them a rival, me asking them for something seems kind of out of the box, but that's probably why it works.
Well, and that's just it. I think it's a conscious decision to say, you know what? I'm gonna ask them for a favor.
Put this beside,
and then to understand that the flip side of that is then the person like subconsciously is trying to make you seem like a good person, or they're trying to rationalize that you're a good person. That's why they're going to do the favor for you. It's really interesting because I think a lot of us don't do a good job of asking for favors. Like we want to just do it ourselves.
We talked about that with Rich this past week. Just this idea of not reaching out to people, and we've had other episodes where we talked about that. One of the things the guy was talking about, where I guess maybe they were describing friendships, and he was saying if you had 12 great friends, how essentially you can bounce around from people's homes month to month. That's
a big favor. Yeah.
Really one, though.
Let me ask a favor. Can I stay on your couch for a week?
Month, seriously.
Oh, it's amazing. All right. Well, if you got a lot out of this, let us know. Put it in the comments. We want to hear from you. This is a lot of fun for us. But we will see you next week. And as always, remember that you deserve the good life. Say that.
We'll see you guys.